Hello and welcome. Wanted to jump in here with the deck I've been playing recently. I've been having some pretty good success with it. Um, Played through 5 leagues at about a 70%, I think technically a 68% win rate with this Eldrazi Aggro list. Now, I've seen other lists around, but this one is a little unique in that the big thing is I'm playing Eldrazi Mimics, which we'll talk about a little bit. And it's just I feel like this is more focused on the aggro aspect, um, and a little more focused on the colors. I'm not trying to do any mid-rangey things like Michael Spawn, although I think it's a very powerful card. About the only thing that might look out of place is the command, but I assure you this is one of the best burn spells out there when you have a Fleshraker in play. So just briefly cover things if you're not familiar. Uggin's Labyrinth requires you to have 7 CMC or greater card to exile in order to tap for 2 mana. Eldrazi Temple lets you tap for 2 mana for Eldrazi spells. Cavern lets you pick any color for a spell, creature spell, and make it choose a creature type, any color for those creatures, and makes them uncounterable. Which obviously we'll be picking Eldrazi. Secluded Courtyard also lets you choose a creature type. The list I have linked is a little different in that I only play 2 Vista, 1 more Secluded Courtyard. I wanted to try out an extra Vista. I've been running into a lot of decks running Harbinger, where you want to be able to get those wastes. I think this switch, I don't know if it's good. I'm going to test it, like I said, and see how it feels, but you need the Courtyards and the Cavern of Souls to kick the Battle Mage, is the big upside of playing them over the Prismatic Vista, because I'm not playing a basic Forest. And as you see, I have 2 main, 2 in the sideboard. It is a good card. When it's powerful, it's very good. And there are certain instances where that's one of our only outs. Main deck, especially. So, we'll see. We'll see how it feels. Other than that, I'm playing 11 cards that you can exile with Uggin's Lab. Typically, 10 is the lowest you want to go to kind of hit it consistently. Devourer has the unique thing of being like a great in our starting hand for its first ability there, and then after that we can exile it with a Labyrinth and not really care, or exile it to a Cavern and not really care. The Null Drifter is our least likely option to choose with Labyrinth, because we're often casting it for its evoke to draw cards and trigger Mimic and trigger Fleshraker, versus casting it for 7 not as often. But Coldlock's command is very versatile, very powerful. If you haven't faced it in Modern, you're lucky, I guess. Playing with it is a lot of fun. It acts as creature removal, graveyard hate, but most commonly we're choosing the first 2 modes where it ramps and gets us good cards, or if we have Fleshraker out, it burns them to death, which is great. We get to turn 1. Most of the time we want to keep hands that turn 1 a 2 mana card, and then turn 2 a 3 mana. And we're really leaning on how powerful these are. I'm playing the one of Reshaper right now. I have had a Reality Smasher in this slot. A lot of decks online are playing like Dismember in this slot. I wanted to just play more aggressive than even Reality Smasher, because I often get to that 3 mana mark on turn 2, and on turn 3 it's usually only 4, or I stay at 3 mana. And there's just been a lot of times where I've had the higher CMC cards sitting in my hand doing nothing, and I'd rather get something out. I'm playing the full 4 gemstone in the 75. I think that this deck is very much leaning on cheating mana, is why it's powerful, right? If you're playing these just on normal curve, it's not great. Still good, but not great. Whereas if you're playing the turn 2 Linebreaker or turn 2 Fleshraker and it doesn't get removed, you're usually winning that game, unless they're comboing to kill you. I like Trinisphere over Chalice because it hits everything versus just 1 CMC. There is the power of the fact that with a Uggin's Lab you can turn 1 a Chalice on 1, or Gemstone Caverns. But I'm usually 2 mana spells are what you really want to stop, and Trinisphere does a good job of also stopping things like the Evoke, Subtleties, and Griefs, and Solitudes. Forcing them to also pay 3 mana for them is great. It also a Chalice can be removed with various things, for 1 or 0 mana. Trinisphere always requires you, unless they have a Boseiju, to spend more mana to remove it. Anyways, I've liked it. I think it needs to be one or the other. I don't know that it's necessarily the best to play this over Chalice. I'm testing the Seagate Recharge. I've had a Kozilek in this slot as a card that draws me cards against counterspell decks. The only thing is they also are also playing Harbinger, so maybe this might not be great there. But I've played some pretty grindy matchups where like I get a Trinisphere to slow down a deck, and then I run out of gas in my hand. So I'm gonna try it. I think without Michael Spawn, I don't get this enough. It might not be worth it. But again, I like to test. I'm basically always testing some cards, so I'm just letting you know those are my test slots. These here, Dismember answers things that are hard to hit with Kozilek's command, and when you need more creature removal, things like Scion of Draco, opposing Thought Knots and Michael Spawns and stuff. Null Elemental Blast, some of the top decks in the format play Frog and Nadu. The Domain decks hits a lot of things. 1 mana, it's great. The other Battlescape Mages come in against any deck where I want to use their kickers, and often against decks where Mimic might be more of a liability. And just looking at this list, our 3 mana cards are like must removes, right? And often that means our 2 mana cards are actually what end up doing most of the damage after 3 mana ones make their impact. And then this is really secretly a 3 mana card, right? Because we use the Evoke. And then Thought Knots are powerful enough and have a big enough body and trigger well with Mimic that they're worth playing. And then we hope to double spell and or get to the point where we get to All Is Dust and Devour that are like ending the game. Kozilek's commands where X is 5 or greater. Let's go ahead and jump in. That's a good enough deck tech for now. We got in quick. I do want to at some point pull up my stats. So we're on the play here. Game 1. Rosenzinski. So we have a lab without a 7-drop. And a gemstone on the play, of course. We do have 3 2-drops, and Kozilek's command is one of our most powerful cards. So this is like close, but I think I'm mulling it. Manager baits both ways. Unknown opponent, they didn't reveal a, what's it called? Wow. Got some rough ones here to start the video, of course. I get cocky and start recording, and now we're just going to get smashed. I have to mull this. This isn't doing anything, even though we have the temple. There we go. So we're going to keep... probably going to bottom these 2. Obviously, All Is Dust is pretty easy in bottom. We get our 2 mana card here. Yeah, I don't really think there's any debate for keeping a land over this. We can cast everything in our hand, essentially. It is annoying. I'm going to always have to click the mana. For whatever reason, MTGO, when you cast an Eldrazi spell and you tap this for Eldrazi mana, it never will be like, oh, you want to use that mana to cast that spell that it can cast? It always acts like, where's this mana come from? Are you sure? But, that's MTGO for you. This could be a lot of things. We're not going to make any assumptions, but if it is a counterspell deck, your spell snare is not going to do much. So we are going to lead on Smasher. Linebreaker. Linebreaker is essentially a better Reality Smasher. By itself, it swings for 4. Its trample is often relevant in Modern. It almost always targets itself. For a while, there were times where I would target other creatures, and then I realized that the trigger doesn't give trample; it just gives haste, and it would be really annoying to buff up something like it heralds the end. But this is a great curve, right? Shows how aggressive we are. Our opponent's at 11 on their turn 2, and I wonder if it's Jeskai. Didn't want to show us. I assume it's probably a Jeskai deck, or it could be a Grixis list, I guess, some sort of, but I'm tempted to bring these in against any deck that's trying to like cast Force of Negations and Subtleties. It is weird bringing in a card like this where it makes Force of Negation more relevant against us, where before we really only had one card, occasionally this one. Interesting. We don't know. I don't know what their deck is enough to Sometimes I'll bring in or sideboard out my line breakers against decks I know are going to play Harbinger. Because it's really hard to get Mountain and a Waste, and obviously we're going to get the Waste first over the Mountain when we have the opportunity. So I think I'm going to stay on the Mimics. I don't know that I need the Battle Mages, although if they're a Murktide list, the bounce is nice. I want lots of 2-drops against the counterspell deck. I'm looking at possibly these. It's likely playing Snapcaster and or Murktides and stuff. And often what I do here when we're on the draw is I bring in those and I'll side out something like this to go up on Gemstone Cavern. So our lands stay at 22 always. I'm going to take out some All Is Dust. So I go down to 9 here. That means I'm a little less likely to hit that, but that's the price we pay. I'll take out the one of Shaper and hers can be so good and then so bad sometimes. Trim here. Thought Not, if they are playing black, isn't great. If they aren't, I'm going to keep it. I'm just going to assume they're on Harbinger. It's like one of our best cards, but then if they're on Harbinger, this is a lot better because I can cast all of my cards with one waste except for Kozilek and Destiny, but I'm usually not casting him anyway. So we'll try like that. Interesting to be sideboarding against a deck that I'm not 100% on what it is. Obviously, of course, look at that. We can turn 1 hit the Heralds, but then we can't do this till turn 3, and we're on the draw. There's just so many lands that we're gonna maul. It's better. Yeah. Because we have a turn 2 Trinisphere, followed by another one, followed by Fleshraker. We do have to keep both lands. We don't need both 7-drops though, and I'd rather double up on the Trinispheres. And so we can return this to our hand when we want to cast it. Obviously, I'd like to see a Gemstone Cavern or a Devourer or something. One of our pre-game effects are very nice to have, but this is what we got. And it would be nice if this was a what's it called? Cavern, not Courtyard, but beggars can't be choosers. Opponent is thinking. That's okay. Maybe I'll work on bringing up my stats here while we wait. Game stats. So, just to give you a picture of where we're at. This is for my own viewing, so it's not perfect. But over here you have total matches 25. Our overall match win has been 68%. And here it just gives you a graph of some idea. That's what all these numbers are to make these graphs here. So I faced Dimir Frog 6 times. My 2 losses were my first 2 times facing it, which was in my first league with this deck. Since then I adjusted how I sideboard and play, and I've won 4 in a row. So this is probably pretty indicative of what the matchup is, but for me it has been better now that I've figured out. Goryo's was also a frog list. The other Eldrazi deck that's not through the Breach, and then the Breach one I've won 1 against. As you see, I haven't beaten Jeskai or Boros Energy in my 2 matchups, but they've been very close. Okay. We are going to lead on our double land here. I guess, what are they got a stifle over there? I don't know why they're taking so long. Maybe they're double queued or something. On the off chance we draw a temple, we might lead on the Thought Knot. It's probably going to get countered. Like, whatever I play next turn is likely getting countered. Not having a 2-drop here does suck. But, we had to maul and we're playing more of a long game. And they might be an energy list that is really aggressive, and I sideboarded kind of wrong against. I mean, I want Trinisphere against them, but I'd want the line breakers to race them, and I'd bring in the dismembers. And anyways, we'll see. I think my read on them being a control deck. Ooh, so yeah. Do I want to be a man of my word and go Thought Knot like I said I would, or do I want to lead on Trinisphere? Whatever it is getting countered. I'm not going to be double spelling anytime soon anyway. But I'm going to go ahead and do the Thought Knot. It forces them to have exactly counterspell. Or consign. Most blue decks, they're going to be playing, 4 of these. 3 to 4 of these. So it hits everything in our deck. There's no use in trying to play around it. You're gonna hit consigns in game 2. That is one of the downsides to playing this deck, and obviously makes Cavern of Souls really great. In that first hand, I'll have to go back. I was pretty sure there wasn't a Cavern, or I might have considered keeping it. So this has the Thundercap. When it enters, look at the top 4. Reveal 1. Put it in your hand. It has Offspring for a bunch of mana. So he has a Flare of Denial, so he could sack this to counter something. Great. Another Temple. I mean, cool. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't. Sorry, I'm trying to do the math if I could possibly double spell. But I can't. So I think I'm going to go with Trinisphere here. I assume he uses this on it, because otherwise he can't use this alternate cost. Like if he lets Trinisphere resolve, Flare Denial does nothing, so he might as well use Flare Denial now. But this means next turn I will have Fleshraker plus Trinisphere, so that's what we're hoping to do. We get to our double spell turn against a counterspell deck. They're down to 3 cards. They've made all their land drops. Ooh, I don't think I can double 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can't double Trinisphere, unfortunately. So I'm going to go for Trinisphere first. Fleshraker landing is great, although he probably has burn spells. He's going to get back. Oh, we're getting rid of the consign already. It's nice to get rid of that early. Exiled. So yeah, I should have brought in the oh, I did bring in, never mind, the hearses. And okay, I was like, I wouldn't be surprised to see another consign here. The nice thing is Spell Snare doesn't hit, but this might just get bolted. Or Galv Discharge. I guess people don't play Bolt so much anymore. It's always Galv Discharge. So we're in a rough place, drawing our 3rd Trinisphere and not seeing any 2 drops. But hopefully we draw a 2 or 3 drop and can double spell again. Land something here. They're down to 1 card in hand. I don't know why they're taking so long. Oh, so anyways, these are the match win loss in the green-red, and then the blue-red is games. My overall game win is at 62. My match at 68. 63 games and 25 matches. And you can see Merfolk is a miserable matchup, by the way. Don't think that is going to be one. The Valkut was pretty rough too, but beat a lot of different decks. Necro Dominance has felt really good. Burn was really close. That was a fun match. Nadu was scary. The Storm deck I faced beat me on their turn 1, game 1. Came back and won the next 2, so that was fun. I'm gonna just lead on it that Heralds. Be surprised if it resolves, so then hopefully we stick. Okay. Yeah, we'll stick it. Next time we can return the Mold Drifter and still pay the 3 mana for it. So he's Galv. Sure. I couldn't keep the Ugin's Lab up and cast this, so that's why we went for it. That's why I didn't, ideally you'd be returning this on their end step, the Null Drifter, but next turn I can return it and cast it, pay 1, 2, 3 mana for it, or just draw 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think we're gonna just cast this for realsies, as they say. I don't know who they are. Don't quote me on that. The fun part of Consign is that they can counter the trigger and the spell, which is always just so nice. So they only have one card they are not trying to counter. We can't cast this because of our own Trinisphere, but that's okay. We're doing okay. They have enough energy left over that a Galv Discharge would kill this, or a Snapcaster. But there you go. So I guess this was just like a blue-red control wizards list. I guess they probably had Flame of Venor. So that was an easy 2-0 to start. We'll keep going. Maybe get another match or two in this one video. Back to my stats. Sorry, I have to. My leagues, if you see up here, this is not true. This is 3-2, and then I tried to put a little star next to it and got confused. I started this one out with 2 losses, then 1-3, went 4-1, 4-1, 3-2, 3-2. It's been fun. I keep track. I'll go back and add the ones we're doing tonight in there, but it's been going well. I had a matchup where I chained Kozilek's commands with a Fleshraker out. When you have Fleshraker and you do the first 2 modes, what you do is X plus 1 damage, and you end up with X plus 1 spawn out, because you get the 1 on the cast trigger from the Glaring Fleshraker. So when X is 5, you end up doing 6 damage, and you end up with 6 tokens. And if you draw into another Kozilek command, then you can cast it for X equals 4. So you went from X from 5 to X equals 4. And then for the X equals 4, they take another 5 damage, you make 5 tokens. And if you get another one, you can keep going like that. And so I did it 3 times and did a total of whatever it was, 17 damage to kill them when I was sitting there with just a Fleshraker in play, and they had swung with like Scion and a big Kavu. And he was like, no way. Double Ugin's Lab, no 7-drop. If one of these was a temple or we had the 7-drop, this hand would be great, because we can go Mimic into Linebreaker, which is another, a good curve, because you end up swinging for 8 on turn 2. And Kozilek's command's great. It is hard. It's just hard when you're not cheating on mana. We are in the play, which is nice. I'd also have to fetch up the mountain for him, and wouldn't have green, so this Battle Mage is just a 2-2 in this hand. It's close. I'm gonna I feel like I'm gonna regret this, but I'm gonna mull. Okay, this is a little. We'll do it. We'll do it. We got It That Betrays. We're gonna fetch up the mountain, so we get to go that into that. I don't know. Is it Mimic into that? We'll keep. We're gonna bottom this. I think it's actually gonna be Mimic. It dies to more things, but also, I don't know. They're pretty equal when I'm curving this curve. But I'm playing this because of the Thought-Knot Seer. The 2-drop into the Linebreaker is about the same, but if I get the 4, if I play this on turn 3, the Mimic will hit harder. So we'll see. And it all depends on what their deck is, which one's actually better. Opponent bobbled themselves, so I assume they're playing a fetch. No, they're playing a Tamiyo. Well, it's actually nice. So Herald would only swing as a 2-2, which means it could be blocked. But Waste is kind of an awkward draw. As far as we're good. If we draw a Vista, it's gonna be bad. But this allows us to swing as a 3-3, which is better, and means they can't actually effectively block with this Tamiyo. And they're probably going to be attacking with it every turn after this, but the Heralds would have gotten blocked there, whereas this got through. So we did more damage. Let's see, another, I guess, Wizards list, I assume. I wonder if this is also straight blue-red and another control deck. Be nice to have Cavern on our side of the field, but we don't. Fetching down to 9. If they do nothing and they don't block, I could swing for... This would be 4, this would be 3, and this would be buffed up to a 7, so it would be 14 damage. But we assume they're going to block and or remove something. Interesting. Fetch shock. So they really have to remove this line breaker, because even with playing nothing out, like it, swings as a 5 with trample. What do they choose? They got Urza's Saga. They just gonna be chump blocking here. Grinding Station. Okay, so this is not just a wizard's list. This is a combo deck that just uses Tamio as a card advantage. Ooh, interesting. Could I kill them? Command could easily... 1, 2, 3, 4. It says 2. I could exile the Tamio, make 2 tokens. This would then swing as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 trample. It would be a 7 trample. But that line sucks if they just bolt it. Whereas Thought-Knot Seer is a lot better to stop them from comboing next turn if they do have a bolt. I'm gonna go with the Thought-Knot Seer line. It also, I like that it buffs up my Mimic. This is like, I don't know which is actually the better line. It's the kind of stuff I like to think about. It's ends up being worse. Yeah, I think I would have won if I just went the other way, but we made our line. We made our choice for a reason. So now the choice is like if I buff this up, it's a 6 trample, so they have to throw Tamio in front of it. They still take 3. They chump block this. Right, we know their hand. It's annoying. Is that if we buff up? If we give this haste, then they. I think we'll just give this haste. I'm sure if I did the math, I could figure this out, but I don't want this to be no longer than it has to be. This forces chump block, take 3. The other way, okay. They're like, yeah. I guess they don't have a draw that wins from there. I think Trinisphere is going to be effective here, for sure. Do I want to dismember? I wonder if I could find a grinding station list. That can't be that popular, right? There is a grinding station list. Oh, this one's playing Nadu. Do you think he's playing Nadu? He was playing green, and he had the Rumble. Interesting. Nadu grinding station. Well, if it is this list, which everything I saw fits into it, I definitely want this. I don't know that I want the Null Elemental Bless, because it only hits Nadu. Yeah, that's all it hits in the whole list. He's probably bringing in... What is he bringing in? Consigned to Memories. 4 of them. We'll bring in our Battle Mages, because it will hit their... Mox Amber, Shuko, Springleaf Drum. I won't ever get a chance to hit a Breach, but we'll bring in our Hearse. We'll put in our Caverns in place of our Vista. Just take out 2 Vistas? No, take out a Vista and a Waste. I don't think they're bringing in. So this is a lot to figure out what I want out. I like Thought-Knot Seers. We like K commands a lot because it exiles a lot of graveyard. We need the graveyard hate. This is creature hate that's important. Our All's Dust probably aren't ever getting cast. Go down on those. We need to hit them hard and fast, but they do make a lot of blockers. So I'm taking out Mimics because of Tamio, and Emery to a lesser extent could trade for it. But he could also get like a Haywire Might that he's looping with Emery. He can also make tokens with his Urza Sagas. There's just a lot of things that could block it that mean it's not going to get as much damage in than even just the 2/2. As you can see, I haven't figured out sideboarding yet. I've like put cards around that like make sense, but then when it comes down to it, it's like I don't know what's better to. These are both so good at ending the game through blockers. Dismembers seem. It's like once they have. How often is that actually going to make a difference? Once they actually have it. I'll cut one of those. I gotta keep these in. Cut one of these. Cut a 3-drop. Oop. I cut it too close there, I think. I hit it. I hit Deck Submit. We did it. 1, 2, 3. Whew. That was close. Cavern is nice. Not my favorite 3 creatures, but I think we're gonna keep because we have lots of mana and Cavern. So we get to turn 1 It That Heralds without exiling the Null Drifter. We can turn 2 the Flesh Raker, and then Null Drifter. And if we draw something like, well, that's a good one, I think. That's pretty aggressive. If we draw the like Battle Mage, we have the mana for that as well. Like Cavern is just great to have. We're gonna use it. What do they got here? They have the Shuko. They have Emery. They hit Bobble with Emery. They've equipped Emery. We can't double spell anyway. I'm debating, like, this is going to be harder to swing through because the Heralds can't get there, and then Flesh Raker is just going to ping them and also make 1/2s, which is nice. So I think I'm going to lead on Flesh Raker because... And notice I'm still going to make sure I use the Campy counter mana because this could tap for 1 blue, and he could still cast the... I'm going to offer the trade. If he wants to trade Emery for my It The Heralds, that's great. This is much scarier than this in the long run. But Linebreaker can give himself haste, so like I want to actually let next turn I can Linebreaker, get a token, hit himself for +3, and if I draw a 2-drop, can I Null Drifter? I can evoke Null Drifter if the Herald lives for 1 in this, and then play him for. No, I need 2 and a. Okay, he traded. Interesting. Does that mean he has Nadu? If he has Nadu, am I just dead? No, he has another Emery. Okay, well, that's fair, I guess. He hit a heat. He hit that. He hit one of his consigns. That was a better mill for me. He targeted me. He Shuko'd himself. Down to 1 card. Okay. This isn't looking terrible. He obviously can just win out of nowhere, though. And he's drawing an extra card, so. Ooh. Can I double spell at all? Is there any way for me to get... I can't get blue and red mana. If I play this, I can get blue and red. But then I only have 2 more mana. And this needs 1 and this needs 2. I think we're going to Linebreaker. I think I need to hit him. We're not winning long term. The more draws he gets, the worse it is for us, right? He's going to do some decent damage here. I'm not going to exile the Null Drifter, though. So I think I'll go ahead and play out the Secluded Courtyard, I guess. Oh, I can Null Drifter. No, I can't. If I had It That Heralds, I could. Because I could attack this. I forgot about that. And I'm 1 mana off casting him, but c'est la vie. So we're gonna buff him up. We're gonna swing. I'm not gonna offer the Flesh Raker trade because this is like I'm gonna win the game with him. But does he have Bolt, Galv Blast, or whatever? Galv, Unholy Heat. He has 5 types, so if he has another Unholy Heat, it does 6 damage. So he didn't chump. Obviously, with Trample, it seems like a bad idea. Are we dead? I don't have any interaction. Nope, he's casting a bauble, he's drawing a card. Hopefully just playing a land and passing, honestly. A double Eldrazi breaker would be lethal next turn if he doesn't have removal. The double triggers adds a whole lot of tramply wamply. That's a good one. Question mark? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can, if I exile an Uldrifter or cast this, exile the Emery. And then I can buff it up and swing for lethal. I think we're going to do that. Eldrazi Blindbreaker is like better if I'm just going for lethal, but this line is better if he has removal and is going to remove a line breaker, because getting rid of that Emery is good. And obviously we want to make sure it's uncounterable. And yes, we want to exile that Emery for sure. Let's see what he has. Do I have lethal even if he kills the Devourer? If this buffed itself, assuming he has no other. He's got to counter the trigger. It's really hard to tell what this is targeting. Yeah, targeting the trigger. Okay. So do you have another card? What else do you have here? He's got an Otawara, my line breaker. Okay. Didn't see that coming. Yeah, didn't see that coming. So we're just gonna swing for 2, I guess. So he might be dead here. He saved his Emery instead of countering the spell, which makes it seem like Emery's gonna. What can Emery? We can get back a bauble, Haywire Might. Haywire Might can hit nothing. So he's gotta get another bauble. Does he have a breach in hand? Maybe. No. Okay. He was just, maybe he was playing to see like I have one more turn to draw my combo, but wanted to save Emery, because to me it's like just counter the Devour, bounce this, let me exile that. But anyway, we win again. As you can see, powerful cards. It goes fast. Is there anything else in the stats I wanted to mention? I don't think so. What would I put that under? That's kind of like Thopter Nadu, but it's not that. It's a different. Just put Grinding Station as its own one. I'm going to leave it under Artifact Combo. 6, 3. We were on the play both of these games. And what else did I face? Oh, Blue-Red Wizards. On the play again. Hey, look at all those amazing cards. And this is one of the hands where it's like, if this was a land, or this was a... If either of these was Ugin's Lab, I'd probably keep it, because I could dig for a card with this. But I need a card for my turn 1... a land for my turn 1 play, which obviously this doesn't. I almost accidentally keep... gross. Punishing us with the mulligans today. Again, it's just unkeepable. If I had a Devourer, right, to dig, I would keep, hoping that I hit a lab. I can exile one of these, or a temple. So we had to keep this, but man, this is rough. I'm gonna keep Lab and Waste, I guess. I don't really want to fetch the mountain. And with only 2 mana, I think I'm going to tuck down the Thought Knots here. I'm going to play out Waste first and hope to hit a 7-drop. At least our opponent also mulled to 5. Slight, what's it called? Consolation prize. You can causal X where X equals 0, make 0 tokens and scry 0, and it all, so for 2 mana you can just cycle this. It's hidden mode. Yikes. Although, for x equals 0, I could exile the Ornithopter. So we might be doing that? Question mark. Might be doing that. We might respond to something by just cycling this and exiling an Ornithopter. Is there any reason I should do it before he takes game actions? No. Okay. Oh. Oh. I hope this works. Exile target creature. Bump, 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 bump. Big brain play right here. I totally meant to wait for you to waste your hammer. That is why I didn't do that on my main phase. Wow. I forgot. It's been a while since I played against Hammer. As you can see from my list, it's not something I've done in a while. So, I'll play out Mimic first, because obviously I'm not using the reduction or buff from this. And then now if I play this, the Mimic will swing as a 3, because it will become a 2/2 from this. And then get +1/+1 and be a 3/3. So, we're operating on a shoestring budget over here on a deck that's usually casting 2 drops on turn 1. We are turn 3 and still only casting a 2-drop. Feels pretty lackluster. Is this a Nadu? Was not expecting, I guess, Nadu and a hammer work. Everyone's just putting this on every deck now. It's like, oh, Shuko, it's just whatever it is. I mean, he only swings as a 3/3, so it feels kind of pointless to... I don't want to cycle this. I really just need another land. I want to play the Flesh Raker out and start doing some real damage. Am I gonna win? What's the line here? I think I'm gonna go ahead and cycle this. I don't think we win without drawing a land in the next like 2 turns, and so playing out another, playing this out and not being able to swing doesn't really do anything. I don't think he's gonna swing either, because he knows like once he draws a Shuko, like I'm just, or he has things that go fetch it. He is swinging. Okay, well. Man. Are you kidding me? We play 22 lands, right? You saw that I'm playing 22 lands. At least now I can swing with the Mimic, I guess. I'm not going to be blocking with it, so... Another It the Heralds would be nice, because it'll make me big enough to swing through Nadu even, but I don't know if... I guess he only has 1 card in hand. What is this game of Magic? We got a flooded Hammer opponent, and we've got us without any mana over here, with our 7-drop in hand, Wow. Our third It That Heralds the End. I guess we're just chaining these. We say yes because it sees it's new. It sees it as a 3/3, not a 2/2, so this became a 3/3, getting buffed twice now. Fun fact. I guess... no. Sorry. For some reason I thought this was a 3/3 for a second, but of course Nadu is also a 3/4, because on top of being, completely broken, they also were like, let's give it above average stats and flying. Because a 3/4 with flying for 3, why not also make that the most broken card in Modern? Anyway. We only have, a day or 2 left with this nonsense? I think the new announcement is somewhat soon. What a game. Okay. Something happening here? Oh, he doesn't have Metalcraft. What is going on? This is the weirdest match. Come on. I can't cast it. I don't have blue mana. It's reduced by 2, so it's already only cost 5 mana, and now it's gonna be reduced again. And again, we're gonna say yes because it sees this as a 4/4, so now this will go up to 7/7. Now I can swing through. If he wants to double block or something, I'm definitely taking that. Let's go. No blocks? Did he? Oh. I feel like that might have been an accident. So we would have drawn this, which would have let us cast the Null Drifter, which would get us into our... Look at... Anyways, what a weird game. Okay, Nadu Hammer. It's hard because like Trinifseer hits most of his deck, right? But then once he's comboing, it doesn't do anything because it's all just, you know, activated abilities and triggers. I think we do want the blast for Nadu. The problem is it doesn't hit the hammer half of the deck. Like the only reason we won that game was because K Command snuck it out for us. Spring in the Caverns. I doubt they're going to be playing a. Oh, it's keeping that. Cutaways. I doubt they're playing a Harbinger or whatever. I think we definitely want Dismembers because, as we saw there, if we can remove a guy, that's great. We don't want Transfers. We don't need Hearses. We'll take the Wastegapes for sure. I assume he's playing Urza Saga as well, and obviously it's very good against that. Mimic did put in work there. All his dust is a little slow and doesn't hit everything we want to hit. Thought Knot's also a little slow, especially on the draw. We'll cut the Reshaper. That's like our easy one of cut. Might just trim around the edges, as they say. Linebreaker's going to get through most of the time. I need Null Drifters. I need these for sure. Thought Knots might be... I mean, this is never going to stop the hammer line. And it's not great against Nadu either. They're a pretty fast combo deck. Basically, I'm either keeping like a perfect 7 for us, or I'm keeping interaction. So is this a perfect 7? It's close. It is close. It's a turn 1 line breaker if I wanted, or Flesh Raker. It's hard to know which one's actually better. We're gonna keep. We're definitely playing this. I'm thinking about exiling. We'll exile the Courtyard here because this gives us all our mana colors. If we turn 1 Flesh Raker into turn 2 Linebreaker, we get the trigger on the token to make the Linebreaker trigger even bigger. And again, we could just be dead. We kept a good hand for us, but if they kept a good hand for them, it might just mean that they, play a hammer here and we're dead. They didn't fetch and play something, so it seemed like maybe they're going for more of a Shuko into Nadu curve. So we'll get to play Linebreaker, trigger, make a token, buff the Linebreaker for 3. He's going to swing for 6, trample, and then this is swing for 2. What does this do? I can't play my K commands, and can't play non-creature spells with Fork Creature, so my all is dust. It's like, again, it's interesting he swings. I don't think they're... Oh, it's a thing of beauty. That's probably one of our better draws in this slot, to be able to double spell on our turn 2. Oh, no, we need the red. We need the red there, sir. Sorry. This makes the trigger huge on this Linebreaker. And you notice, again, they're getting pinged. They just took 3 damage just from, Fleshbreaker is a ridiculous 3-drop. It is underappreciated. We're putting on this because it has trample. And we're swinging out. And they don't have to block, but if they don't block, they are dead. So they have to have the combo next turn. I don't know if he knew that had trample. Weird block if he did know that had trample. I don't think he knew. If he blocked the Flesh Raker, he would be at 4 instead of 3, because he would have blocked 1 more damage. I don't think he knew this had trample, and that's why he just conceded after that. So, good showing. Good showing for the deck. I think I have time for one more. Famous last words after a guy. I've had a couple matches where the people just let the clock run down and go so slow. So I'm not going to risk it. Again, gamer dad life. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions. I'm going to probably still link. I'm a mod in the Oops All Spells Discord, and I have videos from my Blue Belcher as well. I might link the same Discord. You can come in there and talk under like Spicy Brews or something general. Hit me up at Jimothy Roundbottom. It's my Discord. if you have any questions or comment on the YouTube. Let me know if you saw any lines where I really messed it up. But obviously, felt good to go with the old 6-0 3-0 to start out. Have a great night.